Hey guys, Vincent here with another video for Tails Coffee, and today it's a gear review day. It's the brand new W60 from Hario. It's big, it's heavy, and it sucks. So before we get into why I don't like this coffee dripper, if you guys love weekly coffee content, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. And if you want to check out my favorite coffees and my favorite equipment, go to my website, tailscoffee.com. And back to why I don't like this dripper. So a little backstory on this dripper. This is actually a dripper that Hario designed with a 2013 world champion barista, Pete Licata. So off the bat, you can see that it's quite a heavy and big dripper. Hey Jackie, do you mind passing me like a normal one? Let's actually show everybody a comparison. So here's the normal V60 size, and we put them side by side. You'll notice that the V60 is a little bit smaller than a W60. In fact, it's kind of like, almost like that, you know? And that's how they came up with the size. It's because they have a secondary filter. So the unique parts of this dripper is that it's a rounder shape like a teacup, and it has and comes with this metal mesh. Now this metal mesh is actually really interesting. As you can see, it's a flat bottom, and you can put a paper filter in here as well. So we're gonna be able to brew it in 3 different ways. One with just a metal filter, just the paper filter, and the way the world champion designed it, both of them at the same time. Let's try it out. So before we actually do the demo, we're gonna be mostly focusing on his technique, which involves both the metal filter and the paper filter because, you know, without the metal mesh, it's just a V60, and with just a metal mesh, it's just a French press, okay? So his technique involves both of them, and we're looking at 30 grams of beans to 500 grams of water and a 4-minute drip time. Now that's what he had kind of talked about in his video with the Hario V60. So we'll be trying that together. But I wanted to go over this thing first. This is actually the key and most important part, I think, to the W60 package. Now this is a flat bottom metal mesh. I don't know if you guys can see, but this metal mesh is super fine. It almost feels like a fabric, but it is still metal, so there are going to be a lot more oils passing through. So it's just a glorified French press if we use it on its own. Now with the paper filter though, it will be dripping in, and then all the oils and the fines will have to pass through a paper filter. Now, I don't know how bored you guys are, but I'm a super curious and sometimes a little weird. I actually tested brewing a coffee and then pouring it through a paper filter, even though I had already brewed it with a paper filter, okay? So a V60 poured into a V60 filter. Now what was interesting was actually the microfines in the brewed coffee clogged up the filter, and the drain time became extremely long. So my guess is when he was designing this, he wanted to extract even more of a clear cup of coffee by having the paper filter at the bottom. Now, because of the clogging, I think that your draw time is going to be really long, and some of the liquids might not actually make it all the way down to the bottom. I'll show you guys later what I mean, but if we waited for everything to go, it would be a pretty damn cold cup of coffee by then. You're looking at like 4.5 minutes to 5 minutes for a full drain. And because there's so much space and air in here, it's actually gonna cool down quite a bit. That's what I noticed in my first couple of trial runs. So in the upper chamber, it is a flat bottom, so we do have to use more beans, just because otherwise your first bit is going to be seeping through really quickly. We do a little bloom like his technique, and then we pour the rest of it. I actually enjoyed the idea behind it, but I don't think that the paper filter really achieved much. I felt like you would just get a better brew with less hassle from a Chemex. So let me show you guys what I mean when I'm pouring with both the metal and the paper filter, and we'll talk about it afterwards. So we're here with the water, 30 grams of beans. We're gonna zero that off. I've got it set. The paper filter is set. Everything is lined up nice. And the kettle, it's got my 500 grams of water, and at 93, I believe that's the temperature he decided at. So we're gonna start in the middle. We're gonna start with the bloom. As he suggested, we're gonna start with the bloom, and we're gonna pour as slowly as we can just because it is a metal dripper. If you guys can kind of see, it's already starting to drip at the bottom, but it is colorless. And this is why I think it's like kind of weird. So we're pouring in a slow motion outwards, and as we hit the edge, we will stop. And this is how I personally like to do my blooms. It's still very even. We're gonna give it a stir because you can feel that there's lots of clumps. Get all the way to the middle. Make sure it's nice and distributed. A lot of it has flowed down already. And let's take a quick look at the state of the paper filter underneath. You can already see that there's a little bit of clogging happening. So that is already worrisome, but let's continue and finish off the brew. We're gonna be pouring all the way to the 500 now. Just slowly work your way out. And remember that this is a metal filter, so it's not gonna have it's not gonna be pushing the water all the way back to the middle. So I don't know if I can get a very perfect dome, but we're gonna be trying our best. Notice how now the crema is starting to be a little bit lighter colored. Gonna go back to the middle. And then we're just gonna finish it off with the center pour. So we're gonna give it a stir as I always do. I don't think he stirred in his video, but I personally still like to stir, so. And we're gonna let that drain. As you can see, it's almost done draining. And I'm gonna give it a quick tap. Oh my God, look at that. Look at how much water is down here. What the heck? That's insane. So this is like the issue I was having with it. Maybe I'm supposed to let it steep in there and have it. Like, don't mind the mess, guys, because this is just like what the demonstration is. But you can see there's a ton of liquids and it is not flowing out. So we're gonna let that drain. You guys can watch it, see how long it takes as we fast forward this clip and while I wipe it down. So it looks like we're almost done. Remember, I did do a pretty decent pour. If you want to take a look at the grinds carefully, it looks like that. It's pretty granular just because the flow rate is not restricted because it is a metal mesh. We're at 445. It is barely draining. I don't really want to wait for the rest of it, so we're just gonna clear this out of the way and try the coffee. And we're back with the finished coffee. So first off, let's talk about it. It is very clear. Is it more clear than a paper filter? Probably not. It's just a metal filter dripping through a paper filter. So we're gonna get some clarity similar to, it might be a little bit more clear and clean, less oils than if it was just a paper filter. But let's put it to the taste test. I've got my trusty origami mug here. Color is light. It smells like a coffee. I'm sure it is a coffee, but let's just see how it tastes. Yeah, so compared to like a normal coffee, or sorry, compared to a normal V60 with the exact same bean, you actually have a little bit more of the bitters. Just because I find that you're probably extracting the microfines at the end when it's at the bottom. Maybe like you saw in my demonstration, when I did the little tap at the end with the metal mesh, there was still a lot of liquid at the bottom. So maybe I could have had it sitting in the water, I guess. Like, I don't really know how that would improve it. I feel like you're just over extracting what's at the bottom and not at the top. The whole idea behind steeping longer up there just didn't make any sense to me. So I think that's an entire design flaw itself, as you guys could see. And then passing through the paper filter, yes, it's more clean, but why wouldn't I just use a Chemex? Like, that super thick paper is going to give me the same kind of clarity. So yeah, I'm still gonna drink this, I'm still gonna enjoy it, but it is just annoying. Personally speaking, I think this is just a bad design. You already have side channeling from flat bottom brewers. By using a mesh, it actually happens even faster because the flow rates are even faster. Even if you do bloom, like you can with paper filters, I found that the drip time was long. In the video that he had presented, he was saying he wanted to steep a little bit longer. Yeah, I get your mesh is like really fine and everything, but I found that your steep time and your brew time might actually be shorter than like a Kalita, which is also another flat bottom, but it uses a paper filter. It's just one giant hole at the bottom, so it does flow pretty fast. The drain time is actually what's slow, and that's just because it's passing again. So your steep time is not gonna be as heavy and rich as he would have expected, in my opinion. So I think this is actually a design flaw. Now on top of that, I think that the mesh is actually quite hard to clean. I've used it a couple times and I've already got some oils stains kind of stuck in here. I think you would actually end up having to boil it once every like 20 to 30 uses just to maybe boil out all the oils, and then maybe that would work. But I actually find it quite cumbersome to kind of have to deal with that. And on top of that, you also have a paper filter to clean out, and it's heavy. So not only is it hard to clean, heavy, but your result is also probably not quite as good as if you were to use, say, a V60 or a Kalita Wave or even like a Chemex. If you're looking to add it to your collection because you like collecting drippers, that's fine. I think it's cool to have something that's unique. What really makes it unique is this metal mesh. I think the metal mesh on its own is quite nice. If you wanted like a quick and easy kind of like a pour over version of a French press, but if you wanted it as like your all-in-one go-to because it's a great dripper, this is definitely not it. This is actually just not it. So if it's like your only dripper that you're gonna be purchasing, do not get this one. At least that's my opinion of it. I really disliked using it. Definitely not one I would use in my shop. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up underneath. If you already have a W60, let me know in the comments what you think. Hey man, I might be wrong. Try to change my mind, but for now, I really don't like it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us for weekly coffee content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!